We continue now at the top of Daf Yomi Gemara Meseches Eruvin. This is Eruvin Daf 10b. The Gemara here is bringing Shmuel in the name of Levi, who has a solution. What if you have a mavoi with an entrance of 20 amos? We know the entrance is supposed to be 10 amos. How do you minimize it? And he says, Osa pas gavoa asara, make a board of wood, a plank that is 10 tvachim high, b'meshech arba amos, and let it be 4 amos long, umamido la'orcho shel mavoi, and place it along the length of the mavoi. Rashi explains, umamido la'orcho shel mavoi be'emtza ha'pesach, put it right in the middle of the entrance, the kevan de'ika hechsher mavoi, since it's 4 amos long, which is the amount of a shear of a mavoi, ba'orcho shel pas, havelu kishtei mavos. You're basically separating this thing into 2 mavois. In other words, you don't have to build a wall all the way down the middle of the mavoi, the whole length of the mavoi. That's not necessary. You just need to have it go 4 amos, and as long as it's 4 amos, that's a good enough separation. You basically have 2 entrances to 2 separate mavois. That's his kind of simple solution to this problem. Inami kid Rav Yehuda, or you can answer the question and you can solve the problem rather, like Rav Yehuda says. Diyama Rav Yehuda says mavoi shu rachav chomesh esrei amma. Rav Yehuda is talking about a mavoi where the entrance is 15 amos, so it's 5 amos larger than it's supposed to be. Marchik shtei amos, so from the wall have a distance of 2 amos. Va'osa pas shalosh amos, and then make a plank of wood, a board of wood that is going to be 3 amos wide, and then you're basically going to combine those to seal up the 5 amos. Rashi says, Marchik shtei amos min hakosel u'maschil lasos shampas, from 2 amos away from the wall, begin to put up the plank. V'yoseu mishalosh amos, make it 3 amos. Listom ha'pesach, that will basically cover up the opening. V'nimso chamesh amos elu stumos, those 5 amos are going to be considered closed. Shapirtzas shteho amos niteres ba'omed meruba alei, and the key here is you have omed meruba ala paretz. You have an opening of 2 amos, but you have a plank of 3 amos, and that seals it up. And Rashi explains, if you had an entrance that was 20 amos, just do the same thing on the other side. So you can do it on one side, distance it 4 amos from the wall, and make it a plank 6 amos wide. Whatever the math is exactly, the point is use omed meruba al haparetz in order to seal up the extra part of the wall. Again, these are all solutions which make it that you don't need to build an entire wall to seal it up. These are kind of shorter, easier, and quicker solutions. So the Gemara says, well, we can come up with an even quicker solution. Why do you even need to do that? Yasa pas ama umechza. Just make a plank that's 1.5 amos. V'yarchik shtei amos. Then have a distance of 2 amos of space. V'yasa pas ama umechza. And then have another one of 1.5. Rashi says, why do you need to put together one plank that's 3 amos? Put it 1.5 right up next to the wall of the mavoi. Then have a distance of 2 amos. Then have another 1.5, and the 2 1.5s together are larger than the space of 2 in the middle. Since you're not allowing that, mishum de paretz meruba ala omed, apparently it's because it's considered paretz meruba ala omed shemikan ve'al omed shemikan. In other words, the 2 amos of space is still larger than each 1.5. So we should see that doesn't work. You have to join the 1.5s together. Lioshnei and Rabin Olav Shamin and Mina Midalomitzterefeslu, from the fact that we don't give that solution. Omed meruba ala parts bein beis haruchos kishetitzrefim lo have omed meruba. Apparently, you're not allowed to join together 2 omeds that are on the sides. In other words, 2 planks. You can't join that together in order to say it's omed meruba ala paretz, the space between them. Elazil lagabi kol chad v'chad v'nimsa paretz rabalav. You have to look at each plank independently and say, well, the 2 amos of space is larger than the 1.5 amos. Mevatlo v'nimsa pesach rachav me'aser. You have an opening here more than 10 amos. So the Gemara basically is trying to prove that you can't combine omeds on 2 sides of a paretz. That's what the Gemara says here. Shma mina, do we see from here, omed meruba ala paretz mishtei ruchos lo have omed, that if you have omed meruba ala paretz from 2 sides, that's not considered omed. You can't combine it. The Gemara says not necessarily a proof. Li'olamim lo have omed. It could be that it is considered you're allowed to combine the 2, and you really do have more omed than paretz. Here it's a little different, because here that one pas that's 1.5. That pas of 1.5 that's separated 2 amos from the other pas of 1.5, that has airspace on both sides of it. You've got a huge opening of 10 amos on one side, and you have another opening of 2 amos, so that one pas is totally batel from the parts on both sides. So the Gemara says, well, let's try another solution. V'yasa pas amma. Why don't you make a pas that's an amma? V'yarchik amma, then have a space of an amma. V'yasa pas amma, then make another pas of an amma. V'yarchik amma, and then have a space of an amma. V'yasa pas amma, and then have a third one of an amma. Shmami no omid kaparetz aser. Maybe we should see from this that if you have exactly the same amount of open space as closed space, that's also a problem, because here you have amma planks and you have amma spaces, and that's a problem. Gemara says, no, not a proof either. Liola me malach mutter. Maybe I could tell you, generally speaking, omid kaparetz is okay. V'shani hachi dasavir dehaigiso mavatale. Same thing as we said before. Maybe it's different over here, because here you have airspace on both sides of the plank. Let's say the plank at the very end of this whole setup. That plank has an am on one side of it, and then an entire Pesach on the other side that's open. And so again, that's totally batel, and it's not really going to work. Rashi over here says, Shmamina parts komin aser. Do we see from there that omit's parts is parts komin is aser? Upluksa the Rapapa of Rav Huna braided Rav Yehoshua he b'sheli perek. And this is actually a machlokas about parts komin at the end of the perek. V'shamat mihacha the Rav Yehuda Rav Huna svirulei. We should see, it seems like we hold like Rav Yehuda holds like Rav Huna. Well, if you call amas parts oseras omid she'etzla. Every open amma asers the omid that's right next to it. V'nimsa shein kan stima. It's not closed off properly. So again, he says the high gisa pesach gadol, that large opening with the high gisa amma parts mavatale lama omid she'etzla pesach. That one amma is going to be totally batel because it's got airspace on both sides. So it's no real proof about omid kaparetz or parts ka omid, whether that's usher or not. So then now the Gemara finally says, well, what about the following solution? V'yarchik amma. Why don't you have a distance of an amma? V'yasa pas amma umechza, and then make a plank which is 1.5. V'yarchik amma, then another amma. V'yasa pas amma umechza, and then have another plank of 1.5. Now in that case, you have no reason why it shouldn't work. The 1.5 plank is certainly larger than the 1 amma of space. The Gemara says, "Enochinami, you're right. That could be a solution. The kuli high lo echachur rabbanan, but the rabbanan aren't going to make you go that far." So Rashi here explains, "V'yarchik amma min hakosel v'yasa pas amu mech." So why don't you have an am of space from the wall and make a 1.5? The hashta lo mitzdarf aver amim aver pesach levatel amu mechza. Now the 1 am of airspace can't be mevatel a plank that's 1.5. The batel aver dezuter mina. On the contrary, the airspace is smaller. The airspace is going to be batel. Why is this preferred? Why is it better to have an am of space than a 1.5 than an am of space than 1.5? Why is that better than 2 amos of space and a 3? It's just a better solution because then you don't have 2 amos at once. And the Gemara says, "Enochinami, you're right. That would be better for kuli hai lo achachur, but that's actually more of a tircha to do that." So the Rabbanan did not require you to go to that kind of a tircha. Kuli hai lo achachur Rabbanan. They didn't make you go to that extent. So the Gemara says a different kasha. But if you're going to make these, if you're going to close it off but leave a little bit of a space, why aren't we afraid that people are going to start using that smaller space as a Pesach, and your actual 10 am of Pesach won't be the entry to the Mavui, and the lecha you put there won't be good? So Amar Avada Bar Masna Chazaka Ein Adam Miniach Pesach Gadol V'Nichnas Pesach Katan. We have a chazaka that people don't leave aside the larger opening and go through smaller openings. So we're not worried about that. The Gemara says Umay Shno Midr Rabami Udr Ravasi, but we had a case of Rabami and Ravasi where you have a doorway. This is talking about you have a little door on the side of the mavui, where we are concerned that people are going to use that doorway, and the actual entrance of the mavui is not going to be considered an entrance. So the Gemara says Hasam Kamamayit Bilucha Hachalo Kamamayit Bilucha. Over there, by the case of Rabbi Ami and Ravasi, it was a shortcut. So that's why we were concerned they were going to go through the side entrance. But over here, both entrances are at the front, so there's no concern they're going to use the smaller entrance. The Gemara continues, Tanan Hasam, we learned over there in a Mishnah, they point out this seems to be a Tosefta, or Ha'asla v'chalal shalo. Let's say you have, this is basically a toilet seat, so you have the actual seat, and then you have the airspace in the middle. Mitzdarfim betefach. You can join those together, and it's like a sealed area of a tefach. This is in terms of the halachas of tumah. The halacha is tumas oel. You need to have a roof of a tefach. So you can be mitzdaref the actual seat with the hole in the seat. This is going to be an issue of, do you have omed merub ala parts? Do you have more solid space? Do you have more sealed space than open space? So the Gemara says, "My or ha'asla." First of all, what is or ha'asla? Amar Rava bar Rachana, Amar Rav Yochanan. Rava bar Rachana says the name of Rav Yochanan. Or kisoy shel beis hakisei. This is like the hide that was used as a covering that you're using it as the toilet. The kama. Now, how much space? How large is this item? Kiasa Rav Dimi Amar. When Rav Dimi came, he said, "Etzba'ayim mikan, ve'etzba'ayim mikan." It's 2 finger breadths on each side. Ve'etzba'ayim revach be'emsa, and then the open space in the middle is also the same size, 2 finger breadths. So basically what he's saying is you have a solid etzba'ayim on each side, that's your omed, and then you have a space, the parutz is also etzba'ayim. Kiyasa Ravin Amar, then when Ravin came, he said, etzba umechsa mikan, ve'etzba umechsa mikan, ve'etzba revach be'emsa. No, you have to have 1.5 of omed on each side, and 1 etzba in the middle, meaning you have to have more closed off space than you have open space in the middle. Each side has to be larger of closed off space than the space in the middle of this toilet seat. So Amar le Abaye le Rav Dimi. So now Abaye said to Rav Dimi, mi pligisu. Are you and Ravin, are you actually arguing over here? Ravin gave one shear, you're giving a different shear, what's going on? So Rav Dimi responds, Amar le, said back to Abaye, lo, we're not arguing. Hab Rav Ravasa, hab bezutrasa. One is talking about with the thumb, and one is talking about with the pinky. In other words, what Rav Dimi is saying is, I said 2 fingers, and whereas Ravin said 1.5 fingers, because Ravin was talking about thumbs, which were larger, I was talking about pinkies, which are smaller, so that's why I said 2 finger breadths, velo pligin, and there's no argument between us. So Amar Lei, so Abai said back, Lai pligiso, no, indeed you are arguing with each other. Uva omid merubal aparts mishtei ruchos pligiso, because you're arguing whether you need more omid than parts. Because he says, look, Rav Dimi said it's 2, it's etzba'ayim mikan, etzba'ayim mikan, etzba'ayim revach b'emsa, that you have 2 finger breadths on each side and 2 of space in the middle. And the other opinion, Ravin's opinion, was no, you have to have the seat at the sides has to be larger than the space in the middle. L'didach have omed mishtei ruchos. According to you, you're combining the omed on each side to be omed merubal parts in the middle. L'Ravin meruach achas have omed mishtei ruchos lo have omed. But according to Ravin, no, even one side has to be bigger. You can't combine the 2 sides to say you have omed merubal parts. Because if you think you're not arguing, L'Ravin hachi iboyle l'memar. Ravin should have said it as follows: etzbo shlish mikan, ve'etzbo shlish mikan, ve'etzbo shlish revach b'emsa. He should have given a different shear, maybe a finger and a third, but it should have been identical. It should have been a finger and a third from one side, a finger and a third from the other side, and the space in the middle is also a finger and a third. So they said, Velamai pliginan, but then he said to him, wait 1 second. Do you think we really are arguing? If I really held that you're allowed to combine the 2 sides, I should have said a bigger chiddush. I should have said etzba u'shnei shlisha mikan, v'etzba u'shnei shlisha mikan. I should have said 1 etzba and 2/3 on one side, 1 etzba and 2/3 of the toilet seat on the other side. V'etzba'ayim u'shnei shlisha revach b'emsa. Let's make the middle be even larger. Let that be 2 etzbas and 2/3, and you have to combine the 2 sides. If my whole chiddush was to combine the 2 sides, I could have given a much bigger chiddush where the space in the middle is larger than the sides. I made it where the space in the middle is the same as the sides. So Rav Dimi says, if we are arguing, we're arguing on parts ki'omed. I hold, it's not that I'm combining the 2 sides of this toilet seat. What I'm actually saying is, since the side of the seat is the same as the space in the middle, that's good enough. Omed parts ka'omed, if it's the exact same amount of space, that's considered sealed. Whereas Ravin said, no, you have to have the side of the seat needs to be larger than the space in the middle. So Gemara continues at the 2 dots quoting the Mishnah, Yesh lo tzuras hapesach afal pi sherachav me'eser eino tzarech l'mayit. If you have a tzuras hapesach, if you have the frame of a doorway at the entrance of the mavoi, even if the entrance of the mavoi is more than 10 amos wide, it works. You don't need to make it smaller. So the Gemara says, Eshkechon tzuras hapesach demahanya barachvo. We find that a tzuras hapesach works if it's too wide. V'amalser, and we said earlier that an amalser was either the form of nests or it was like long cedar boards. We find that works to mahanya begavo. That works if a mavui is too tall. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph.